Today we're going to talk about neutral spine and how to find it with exercises and while you're running and also in your daily life. Why is neutral spine position important? You need it for good postural control and stability through your core, which is going to then allow for your legs and arms to be more powerful and expend less energy while you're running. But it's not just important while you're running. You also want to be doing it when you're doing core exercises, strengthening exercises. But if you do have low back pain, it can be really helpful anytime throughout your day, even if you're sitting at work or at your desk. So how do we find the neutral spine position? First, you're going to start in this hook lying position with your knees bent. This is easiest because you have a lot of contact with the ground, so you get a lot of feedback. We like to place the hands on the top of your hips at the iliac crests, and then you're going to imagine that your hands are actually coming together through your body, so that the two ends kind of make a bowl. So your bowl is on its side right now, so we're going to forget about gravity for a second. To do the neutral spine, you need to be able to do pelvic tilts in both directions, both anteriorly and posteriorly. So what I'll tell people is when you're going anteriorly, you're thinking about spilling the contents of your bowl out forward in front of you. And then when you're then going posteriorly, you're spilling the contents of the bowl out backwards behind you. So you really want to play around with how far you can go in each direction without your hips coming off the ground. And then your neutral spine position is going to be about the midpoint. And that's going to be where you want to then try to hold while you're doing exercises, while you're running, while you're sitting. It's never bad to come out of that position. It's just the longer you're in there, the more you're going to work your postural control and stability muscles. So then from this hook lying position, we could also try this in sitting. You can use a chair for this. So same idea, we're going to make sure we have contact with the ground with our feet, sitting on our sit bones, and then we can put our hands on our hips. And you could also tilt both directions, making sure we're not leaning too far with our upper back, so we don't have that contact with the ground anymore. And then once you find how far each direction you can go, then you're going to try to hold a nice neutral position. Perfect. And then we can also do this in standing. So when we're standing there, same idea. You want to try to keep your knees just slightly bent. You're not going to bend them or straighten them as you're going, but she's going to then go through an anterior tilt and a posterior tilt position, trying to eventually finding her middle point and stopping there. And then we could also talk about this when you're running. So to best replicate that, we're going to have her stand on one foot. So then what I like to do when I'm running is I'll place my thumb on my rib cage, the lower part, and then my pinky on the ASIS, the front pointy bone of the front of your hips. And then what you can do is see what happens in between your thumb and your pinky as you then extend one hip backwards and bring it forward. So looking at the distance between your thumb and your pinky. So when you extend backward, right, the tendency is for that distance to increase, and she's going into a more anteriorly tilted position, causing more extension through her back. And then when she comes forward with her hip, it's tempting for it to come, the thumb and the pinky to come together, causing posterior pelvic tilt or flexion in your back. And ideally, to be strongest and more powerful, and to allow all of our other muscles below in our hip to be most powerful, we're going to keep a nice neutral position. So that is the importance of neutral spine.